Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Jeff. This is a news podcast of the current top interesting news stories. I tend to lean a little more towards tech just because it's something that I personally enjoy. I try to keep them at about 30 minutes long, that's it. If for some reason I'm not talking about something in the news, tell me in the comments below. That will help me out tremendously. Please do me a huge favor and click the subscribe button below and thumbs up the video if you like it. That actually helps the YouTube algorithm to notice my podcast. I'm just a little guy and I could actually use the help. Okie dokie, let's get into the top stories. First, I want to mention. There's an article in the I think it was in The Verge that they're talking about ad blockers right now, and ad blockers. I guess websites are starting to catch on to ad blockers, and so they're starting to find ways around them and things to do about them. The reason that I mention this is because in the tech community, which I tend to watch a lot of tech podcasts and read a lot of tech articles, ghostery and ad blockers have been used for years. And the only reason I'm mentioning it to you is because maybe you don't use it. I know it is a pretty small portion of the world, but the people who do use it, it's killing the websites. It's murdering them. Both of them are absolutely free. I mean, the one is Adblocker. That's all it's called, Adblocker. You can install it on your Google Chrome. It's just an extension. It's not even an app or anything like that. You just go onto Google Chrome extensions and you can just put it right on there. The other one is called Ghostery. The Ghostery one is for stopping any kind of trackers. You know how people kind of track you when you're going to Walmart and this and that. They actually block them from tracking you, and the ad blocker works seamlessly. It just takes the ads right off the page, and it does something else too. And the fact that it actually speeds up the websites so that they actually go faster. It eliminates the ads, and sometimes it makes the page expand. I've been using them for over 10, 15 years, something like that. Completely free. They cost nothing and they work perfectly. You should get to using them now because, as the article mentions, it seems like the websites don't like it and are trying to stop it. So maybe you'll get a couple more years or something like that until they start figuring out a way. But we've been getting away with it this long, so that's a good thing. So, all right, next up, I got this one that says the 5 ways YouTubers make money. And I thought this was very interesting, obviously, because I do a lot of videos on YouTube myself. But also just so that people have an idea of what goes on here. It's pretty interesting. I watch a lot of YouTube myself. Evan Adjinger, this is the News Beat. It's on BBC actually. It says the 5 ways YouTubers make money. First, AdSense. If you're not familiar with how YouTube works, it is YouTubers collect AdSense. They get money. It's monetization. I actually get it right now. Now, the problem is, and the thing that is very discouraging to people who jump onto YouTube for the first time, is that they don't make money immediately. It can take a year, 2 years, because I don't know what it is these days, but it's an amount of views. When you get up to a certain amount of views, then you start collecting AdSense. They will actually turn on the option to start making revenue off of every video. I do make a tiny, and that's another thing, is that they make a reasonable, good amount of money. They make pennies on these videos, pennies. It's nothing. The only place you're going to make money is when you start to get into higher numbers. And actually, the thing that I personally look forward to is more getting in over 100,000. When you get over 100,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers, you can start to, or I don't know, maybe it's 10,000 or something like that. Maybe it's over 10,000 subscribers. People who have ad agencies and stuff like that start to approach you and ask you to do things for them, which will bring us to more of it. But the AdSense comes from YouTube, and it's money that goes directly. It's real money. I mean, I currently just got a check for $123. It was about almost 2 months worth of money. But it's interesting that that is for, I mean, you can't say free money because you have to do work for it, but it's interesting because you just sit back and that money is generated, and that is a really cool thing. So AdSense is awesome. It's very small. It's not something you can live off of. Unfortunately, if you're a first-time YouTuber, it takes a little while for it to kick in, but it's definitely money, and it's a good thing. Number 2 they have is Patreon. Patreon is very new. It's a very new platform. It's getting some criticisms and it's having some issues in and of itself. I personally have been messing with it a little bit, and it is not good. I don't believe it's very easy to get people from a YouTube platform to use Patreon. It doesn't feel linked well enough. Some people feel that YouTube should be doing something like a Patreon. Which I think because of Patreon, things like that might start changing. You might see YouTube, there's a lot of discussion. Casey Neistat is one of the top people who's been talking a lot about this on YouTube. So hopefully that will change sooner or later, or maybe Patreon will change the way it works, but it just doesn't seamlessly work with YouTube. It's not a good fit, and people are still weirded out by giving money to Patreon because they're not familiar with it. But it is a great way for, especially something like this podcast. I decided I'm going to lay off of it for a while, but moving along, when people really grow to love your podcast and they watch it religiously, like I actually have some that I do watch religiously, then you do want to pay because you feel like you're getting something for free, and you need to support these guys because they are taking time out of their day, researching stories and working on things for you just to entertain you while you're jogging or whatever. So it does become something that people should do if they're enjoying the content. So, but yes, that's Patreon. Kind of new. It's an interesting thing. Usually people just give like $1 or $2. It just comes out like monthly or something like that, kind of almost like a subscription service or something. So number 3 is affiliate links. Affiliate links. This is especially relevant. I'm going to read the article here. It says this is especially relevant for fashion and beauty bloggers. This is when the YouTuber might refer to specific products in their post by way of endorsing them. Not only are they promoting something they enjoy, but they are also getting a 5 to 20% kickback on that, says Evan. It is basically a thank you from the brand for telling people about it. So if you buy something on a website, you've clicked on through a YouTuber's bio, a description, they will likely get some money for it. You understand that? People put a link in the description. So let's say the beauty bloggers, that's why they bring those up, because that would work out really well. She says, I'm doing my eyeliner and I use Kylie Jenner's eyeliner. The link is in the description below. So they will go down, click the link. If they click the link, boom, Kylie Jenner gives them some money. Very interesting. And again, these are things I know nothing about because I'm not to that status yet, but that is something that I strive to work towards. The actual hope is, and the cool thing about the way this is going is that, you may feel that is a little bit, like, oh, they're trying to, but the great thing about this is a better world that we're going to live in, because it's going to be people who actually use these products and not just some bland commercial that's just shooting out there. It's going to be someone, if you're looking at a makeup vlog, you're interested in what she's using because you like her and you like the way her makeup looks. So it's a much better way for brands to connect with people properly. And, hopefully there won't be, or actually I should say your trusted YouTuber. You're saying you trust this guy because you listen to me every day and you trust me. If I tell you a bed is good or a mattress or some food service, you're going to believe me because you know that you listen to me every day and you know you can trust me. So that is a really cool thing about that. Those are just links in the descriptions they're talking about, but I think we're getting ready to talk about that once more. But number 4 is merchandise. This has become a very big thing for what we'll call the Jake Paul movement. Jake Paul has been just going absolutely ballistic with this merch, and his brother Logan Paul, merch in the bio. They even made a song on it, Everyday Bro. So they have merch, they have shirts. One of the guys I like, Banks, actually made like a little clothing line. So that shows that if you're into following these people, maybe you'll be interested in merch that they give you. I'm not sure I personally see merch as being a long-term answer. The reason being is it doesn't fit everyone. I would argue it might not even fit Jake Paul. Who says Jake Paul wants to, like, why is he selling that clothing? He's not selling the clothing because he likes it. See, with Banks, he is. He says he loves clothing and he loves the clothing line. So for him, he's doing it because he likes clothing. But Jake is only doing it because he's trying to make money. He's not doing it because he wants to sell you a good piece of clothing. He doesn't care what he stamps on the shirt. He just wants to make money. So for that reason, I think it falls back to something more like a Patreon or more like brands or something. And I think as he gets older, he'll start to realize it's better to work with a brand company than it is to keep pushing merch down people's throats, because that, I feel, often gets boring too when people have already bought your merch. I've always felt that about Jake Paul. Like, what do they do after the kids buy your merch? Aren't they done with it? You just keep trying to sell them different color shirts? That's kind of ridiculous. You think you'd want to tell them about something different, like a new food service or a new bed or a new razor club that you're using, something else that you're using that allows you to switch. So I don't see Jake Paul staying with the merch. I think the merch is probably more of a short-lived thing. With that being said, for some people, I think it could be great, like posters or something. Let's say it's an Instagram model. There's a girl called Summer Rae. Now, if Summer Rae was to do a poster, holy shit, you know, I can only imagine that would be every kid's dream to have her on their wall, and as long as she's okay with that, that would be an example of a poster being an absolute home run. So she would sell truck loads of them. It makes me wonder now, when I'm thinking about it, why she doesn't do that. Okie doke. That's the last one, is brand ads. And brand ads are what I've already been speaking about. And that is, you know, the advertisers, and again, I think when you get over like 10,000 or something subscribers, the brand ad companies will actually allow you to advertise for them. So I can say, I personally drink Monster, and I would suggest that you drink Monster. I personally wear this brand of Old Navy shirt, so I think that you should. And that is working with the brands. That is, to me, I think that's an amazing fit. There's a network, a tech network that I follow, that I watch, and he does that beautifully. Actually, we know that places like radio invented that kind of stuff. Rush Limbaugh and the other guy who's huge, I forget his name, that does the women and all that crazy stuff. But yeah, they do that beautifully. So they probably invented that, but that works really well. So that's it for that. All right, on to the next thing here. We've only got a couple more topics here. I wanted to mention Chrissy Teigen only because it was blowing up in my Twitter. And Chrissy Teigen and John Legend, this had just happened last night. I guess, I'm not positive on what happened here, and I'm only going to give you a little gist. They got on the plane or something. Let's see. Model Chrissy Teigen and musician husband John Legend have made it to Japan after their initial flight from Los Angeles was turned around mid-air. You know, it was turned around, and they had to bring police on the plane, and they had to get this guy off, and they were all stuck on the plane, and then they had to go somewhere else. I think they might even have got put up in a hotel or something. The only reason I think this story was so massively talked about, it was all over Twitter, was because of the way Chrissy was tweeting the situation. She was very funny. She's pregnant. She was hilarious. Her tweets were really funny. She just kept letting you know every step of the way what was going on. A lot of people have been asking, I would, $300,000 private flight. A consequence later to celebrating the 39th birthday. They had to celebrate his birthday on the plane, which was a bummer. Teigen was revealed as saying her husband had decided to remain in Tokyo upon landing. They said the flight cost $300,000. I think they said. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I don't know if that's actual reality or not. I don't know if they were talking about a private jet. They made it sound like that was the actual commercial line. We went ahead and canceled our connecting flight to, maybe that's like first class or something, right? Yeah, he had to Naoga 3-hour card ride for obvious reasons, but happy to stay here in Tokyo. We feel like young lovers again. So, everybody was following it and talking about it, and so I just thought I'd mention it real quick. Just something short and sweet. Next thing I got for you here, Russia. Again, just a short little story. There's a big thing in Huffington Post here. Actually, it was a huge headline. It said, Russia warns U.S., don't meddle in our election. And the thing, I just laughed when I saw this for a couple of reasons. One, we know what they're talking about, right? They're talking about because we felt that Russia meddled in our election. So that is Vladimir kind of turning the tables there and just throwing it back in our faces. And if you don't think that's the case, you just don't know much about Russia. I actually do, because I was hooked on for a little more than a year reading the Moscow Times. You should check it out. It's very interesting. It's extremely interesting for many reasons. One, that I always thought they were like super poor and standing in line for toilet paper, and I kind of learned that that wasn't the case. Two, it makes you realize how biased their news is and how the reporters aren't allowed to talk about much. And three, it really shows you how they do things like that. Like everything we say, they turn it. And it could be anything. I mean, anything. I mean, they could say that, there's protesters on the street for Black lives, and then they'll say, we're getting rid of protesters. Like, it's almost like they're trying to compete with our news. Like, it's very strange when you watch it day to day. If we say we got some new thing here, they say that they're working on it. It's very humorous. Anything that it's quite obvious they're in competition with us. So I just thought I'd bring that up. You should check out the Moscow Times. They constantly go tit for tat with us, and it's humorous, but they're not as crazy or as bad off as I've been led to believe. So I'm a very open-minded person. I like to look at it, and everyone just tells you that Russia is this, that, and the other thing, but it makes you realize that they do have a little more normal way. We always think that they're so crazy, but they can look at things in a different view than you realize. So if you cared and you wanted to check out Moscow Times, check that out. It's a different perspective on what goes on in Russia. And I found it to be very interesting. Just looking at the front page, just a couple articles every once in a while. Very interesting. So it's getting real popular these days. Alrighty, let's see here. I think I'm just about, last thing I just wanted to mention here was Apple, Facebook, and Google becoming like utilities. This has been something that's being discussed a lot lately, again, on a lot of the tech shows that I watch. I have numerous podcasts that I watch, and this keeps coming up about, it's constantly being talked about, just more so the last 6 months, and how the tide is turning. We all loved Apple, we loved Facebook, and we loved Google. We thought they were innovative and they were amazing, and they couldn't do anything wrong, and they were new and modern, and everything they did was great. The tide is turning. It is turning huge for many reasons. One, they're too big. They're buying up everything that isn't anything. They're not allowing any small companies to get big anymore. They buy them before they can even get off the ground, and they own them. So it's kind of like the too big to fail thing. That's why it's questionable as to whether or not Congress is going to start to come down hard on them and maybe think of them like utilities, like monopolies or something. And that's something that keeps getting discussed, is whether or not they're utilities. They keep trying to resist that. They keep trying to make sure that they critique themselves and monitor themselves first, so that Congress does not get involved, because they don't want that, because they know that will be hell. So that's a very interesting topic that I just wanted to mention, which just brings me to one more subject on that, and that's Facebook by itself. People I always hear this kind of discussion, like, Facebook's can't go anywhere, this, that. I even think the Facebook owner, or whatever his name is, Tom, or I forget his name now, the other guy, but Mark Zuckerberg, they always act like it'll be around forever, it's here to stay. And I don't believe so for two great reasons that I can just show you from experience. MySpace is you know, you want to laugh at it. You say, blah, MySpace, blah, blah, they didn't make it. But I don't think, again, people have a very good memory because MySpace was huge. And when I say huge, I mean they would have owned Santa Monica. They were just about to own Santa Monica. Like they were buying up city blocks in Santa Monica. They were innovative. They had billions of dollars with a B. I mean, they were on the verge of taking over the world. The amount of traffic that was in there. Even Justin Timberlake ended up, like, even when it was going down, he didn't think it could ever crash because it was so huge. He bought into it and obviously lost his ass on that. Facebook did something that was very, very sneaky. Again, I don't know why no one remembers this. It's like they just have no recollection. But what they did was they connected everyone with schools. This is no longer an issue, but this is how it all began. It began because of schools. People went on. They had heard there was something else like MySpace, so they just went on to screw around with it. But something funny happened in that it locked you in. It locked you in. It locked you in. It didn't allow you to go anywhere else. When you got on there, it said, what school do you go to? And it literally went and grabbed your other friends and says, hey, Jeff's over here, but I wasn't over there. I just wanted to log on. I just wanted to go on to Facebook and check it out. I didn't want to submerge myself in it, but they were sneaky. And they grabbed people. They told my friends, Jeff is here, you need to be here. So when they went on the log on, it grabbed them. And when you get the popular kids in school, you know, you can only imagine that, you know, the popular kids, you hear that the popular kids are on there. But again, all he did was sign on. He wasn't on there. He just signed on. But it told you, oh, the popular kids from your school are in here. So they were really sneaky with that. Another thing I want to bring up is, I mean, if MySpace can die, I still feel, and a lot of people don't think MySpace was, but MySpace was huge. That just shows that it can happen with the snap of a finger. And people, I think tomorrow, if a competitor came out, that's all it would take. Right now, as we currently know from Snapchat, just here a couple months ago, I would say about 6 months ago, Facebook was really scared. Their numbers were tanking. They had just went public or whatever, and Snapchat had come out, and the kids were going to Snapchat. They were losing the kids like crazy, and they were really, really getting scared. They were getting nervous. My theory is, and I still think it's possible, Snapchat can come back. Snapchat, unfortunately, I went on, I checked it out. I checked it out, though. Isn't that weird? Why did I do that? Because the kids did it. I went on and checked it out. Now, that just proves that, once again, the kids will leave in 2 seconds, and what do? We go where the kids go. So I went on to check it out. The learning curve was too steep, and I think anybody who checked it out said, oh my God, this thing is like crazy hard to use. They might try to work those kinks out. It's probably too late. I did actually hear they're going to make it easier to use. It's probably too late, but keep in mind that they were going to leave. I saw it. If you know anything about this, you might know what I'm talking about. They were getting ready to leave, and it almost happened. So if someone comes along, and I think it's not something that a lot of people think it would happen slowly. I don't. I think it'll happen extremely fast. I mean, I think we were all getting ready to unload and go into Snapchat. Like, had that been an easy-to-use platform, I might have went over. A lot of people are pissed with Facebook. They're tired of Facebook. They want something else. They don't like some of the intrusion. They don't like a million friends has always been one of the arguments. You know, we all have a lot of problems with it. So, very interesting thing. That's all I want to say on that. I just, sometimes I think to myself that they're not safe, yet they think they are. So it just always kind of blows my mind a little bit when I think about that. So, okay, guys. That's it for today's stories. Once again, I want you to smash that subscribe button for me, please. That's a Logan Paul line. Thumbs up the video.